Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to talk to all of you at this event to mark the Touch a Life World Kindness Day. On this occasion, I'd like to share some thoughts with you on technology and society, because I believe that technology has done a lot of good for society. We live in times when digital technologies permeate and impact every aspect of human activity. So to say that technology has had a profound effect on society would be to state the obvious. But when we talk about this impact, there are so many perspectives that one is at a loss as to where to begin, what to cover, and where to end. So I thought I should refer to some of the profound learnings from my own professional life of over 3 decades in this field. I've been in the government, I've been in industry, I've been in the non-for-profit space, both in IT and telecom, and I've taken on various advisory roles. So I thought, why not I share some of these personalized experiences rather than give any abstract views. And as I reflected on my experiences, I realized how fortunate I've been to have had the opportunity to play many exciting and critical roles as India marched towards its tryst with destiny in this sector. And I also realized, while thinking about it, that each role had taught me something new and something different about what technology can do for society. The good, the bad, and sometimes the ugly, but mostly good. Let me start with my earliest experiences, which was in 1996 when I came to the state of Andhra Pradesh from the central or the federal government, where I had spent over 4 years in the Ministry of Commerce and International Trade with a ringside view of India's economic liberalization and the great opportunities that were unlocked as India opened its economy. And having been responsible there for the promotion of IT export for over 4 years, when the industry was still at a very nascent stage, I got a good exposure to the enormity of the opportunity that lay ahead for India. At that time, of course, it all seemed like a distant dream. But when I came back from Delhi to Hyderabad, the capital of the state of Andhra Pradesh, I found that the state was headed by a very forward-looking chief minister, Mr. Chandrasekhar Naidu, who also had a clear appreciation of the scale of the opportunity. And he assigned the task of promoting the growth of the IT industry in the state to me. And at that time, believe it or not, the turnover of the industry, the revenue was less than $1 million. So with strong political backing and a team of officers, we created a whole plan which covered infrastructure, which included the high-tech city, human resource development by setting up an institution like the IIIT Hyderabad, and at that time, the first of its kind e-governance program for the state, and also established the first IT department for the state. The CM himself, the chief minister himself, led the global marketing effort, and we backed it up with professional support. We tasted some early successes. One thing led, and it snowballed into a runaway growth story for the city. Today, the revenues of the industry in Hyderabad alone are over $20 billion in annual revenue. And it has more than 500,000 employees, 600,000 employees, and nearly 3 million employment opportunities or jobs supported by the industry, and 10% of the whole of India's IT industry. As a city, Hyderabad has also been completely transformed by this growth. Even today, I am humbled when I see the enormity of what followed in the wake of the growth of this industry. Continued enlightened political leadership has been a huge factor. and jobs, growth, and a global outlook have been the result. But not everybody feels happy about this. And I think one should keep some of these aspects in mind. A very elderly MLA once came to me and asked me, "What have you done to this city?" I thought he was going to say something complimentary, but I was soon disabused of any such notion, because he said, "You have completely spoiled the city. Earlier, everyone had time for each other. Now everyone seems to be rushing at all times, and people have no time for each other." So there are very different worldviews, and sometimes one needs to pause and think about some of these aspects as well. And this is an industry which values speed above all else. Later, I also, when I went back to the government of India, after having seen what happened in the state of Andhra Pradesh, I was tasked with creating an e-governance agenda for the country. And I had realized in the state of Andhra Pradesh that technology can be used for the benefit of government and governance, or it can also be used to empower the citizens. And I felt that the second was a far more appealing objective, and one which really could excite people. And so the hallmark of the first national e-governance program was a complete focus on citizen-centric services. How do you improve governance from a citizen perspective? And a lot of flagship projects emanated under the umbrella of that program. Of course, this included the Aadhaar Project, which today covers almost all the population with biometric and identity, which is verifiable online. The common service centers, which were set up in remote and far-flung areas, which were internet enabled and which allowed citizens to avail of electronic services, irrespective of whether they owned a computer or not, whether they were digitally literate or not. And different projects in the ministries of corporate affairs for the issuance of passports and so on. And one of the most significant things was the whole initiative on mobile payments, which originated at that time. And I must tell you that this was in the period of 2006 to 2009, when what is so visible and obvious today was nowhere on the horizon. And today we've reached a stage, for example, where unified payment interface transactions have crossed 3 billion, and the value of those transactions has crossed 6 lakh crores. And we have a 76% growth quarter on the previous year's quarter in this year. All of this has meant a dramatic increase in ease and convenience for citizens. And under the e-governance program, the focus on citizen services has led to a dramatic reduction in corruption at the citizen and the business interface. Of course, it hasn't eliminated it completely, but it's made a huge difference. While all this is a part of the good story, I think, again, there are flip sides to it, and some people have raised fears regarding the collection of biometrics, fears regarding privacy and so on. But I do believe that as long as the focus is on enabling and empowering the citizen, these downsides can certainly be controlled. The other area which gave me a very different kind of insight was in telecom, when as the chairman of the Telecom Commission, I oversaw the consolidation of the telecom and particularly the mobile revolution in India. The period from 2008 till 2013 actually saw tremendous growth, and it was one area in which India grew faster than even China. It had the lowest tariffs, and the mobile emerged as an instrument of empowerment of people. It was a great leveler in terms of access to information, And all of these elements were stitched together into a triad of policies covering telecom, IT, and electronics. And today, of course, we have more than 1 billion mobile phones, with 40% of them being smartphones. But at that time, the challenge for me was that the sector was in turmoil. And the administrative challenge was to control the fallout, but keep the mobile revolution on course. And today, as we get into a world of 5G, artificial intelligence, IoT, and machine-to-machine communication, exciting possibilities lurk in the just around the corner. But I'll talk a little more about this in a bit. But equally, there are major fears about malicious actors, including state actors, accessing data flows through compromised telecommunication hardware. And how to ensure security of the digital economy has become a major concern for India as for many other countries. And it's obvious that complete self-reliance is not possible for India or for that matter for any other country. So a combination of some self-reliance and a careful choice of friends and allies becomes the way forward. A completely different perspective arose when I was with the industry in NASSCOM. At that time, which was from 2013 to 2018, there was a rising wave of protectionism all across the world. And this threatened to stymie the growth of the Indian IT industry, which was growing by leaps and bounds. So countering that and combating that, and on the other hand, enabling the growth of the domestic startup ecosystem were the two big challenges. And during that period, the industry grew to over $150 billion. Today, it's about $195 billion. It's crossed $200 billion in the current year. And the startup ecosystem, which was triggered by an initiative taken in NASSCOM, which is the 10,000 Startups Initiative. Today, their valuation is almost equal to the entire traditional IT services and BPM industry. This is a mind-boggling statistic. And more unicorns have come up this year, 33 already, so till September, than in any other country. And the investment has been $28 billion. So that's the kind of not just growth unleashed, but innovation and entrepreneurship which happened. Post that, I have realized and seen yet another dimension, and that is, as we are surrounded by new and emerging technologies, and I mentioned some of them, AI, big data, machine learning, and so on, the characteristics of these technologies, like the enormous scalability, the affordability, the ease of use, all of them make them ideal candidates for India to leverage to solve its own problems, especially in the social sector, healthcare, education, agriculture, and so on. And today, technology has reached a place where it's not the power of technology which is the limiting factor anymore. It is our ability to absorb them, our ability to imagine different ways in which technology can be leveraged for good, and to combine the innovation and entrepreneurship that the startup ecosystem is creating and make a social impact, not just in commercial areas like e-commerce or in social areas like social media, but also in areas which impact our developmental goals, our economic and developmental goals for the people. These impacts can be deeply satisfying. And while all this is again a part of the good story, on the flip side, we have the emergence of challenges in terms of how social media is being used, some of the ill effects on society, and the importance of regulation of the social media. Similarly, with regard to the invasion of privacy and how to maintain privacy. in an era where surveillance capitalism and surveillance governance have become quite commonplace. All of these mean that regulation has become important in amplifying the good that technology can create and dampening the ills of technology on society, on values, on psychology, and on individual personalities. But to conclude, I think as far as our future is concerned, the future of mankind, and of course, India is very much an instance of that, will depend on how we create, leverage, and apply technology, and how we control its usage where it becomes essential to do so. But I'm a believer that the strategies need to be tailored to the society and its needs. And that's what we are trying to do in a not-for-profit organization called the Center for the Digital Future, which a few like-minded people have come together and set up. But personally, I'm hugely optimistic about the what technology can do and will do for society going forward. Thank you all very much. And once again, it's a great pleasure to interact with all of you. Goodbye.